So this is Bella here. Welcome once again to Discover with Bella. And I have a very beautiful discovery today. And that discovery is when not to respect adults, when not to respect elders, and when not to respect people in our families that we deem to be elders. So in my discovery today, I decided to first of all look for the meaning. Oh, I forgot to introduce my tea. So today is a Saturday chill tea afternoon. It was raining a bit, it was a bit chilly, so I decided to just make a cup of tea as we talk, as we discuss this thing of respect, yeah? So what is respect? How do you understand the word respect? So in my understanding is, the act of respect is when, a person admires, something in someone. It could be the qualities of, their character, some of the qualities they possess, or you admire someone's achievements. But oftentimes, we find that we come from African communities or African families where this term respect has really been misused, and just the term the words respect your elders, in my opinion, is a very outdated term, because these tags have made very many people, especially young people, to be disrespected. Some have been defiled, some have been violated sexually, some even their dignity as people has been taken away. Some esteem has been taken away just because of the word respect your elders. So as the topic says, we are looking at, or we are discussing the fact that when not to respect elders. We come from, like I said earlier, we come from African communities where we've grown to believe that adults know everything. Adults can get away with very many things. Adults do not deserve to show young people respect. Like, for instance, let's look at a common, African family. You'd find that an adult would just eat, like for example, the way I'm drinking tea like this. I pour tea on the floor, and instead of even courteously asking someone to clean my mess, I would start harassing a child to come clean my mess just because they are a child. That is not appropriate, yeah? So you also find that in some instances, you find that adults really misuse their position as adults. Like, for example, we come from families where we have uncles, aunties. You see an auntie or uncle who comes home always drunk. Like, there's nothing good to learn about or to pick from this person. But the society expects you to automatically grant these people respect. So I came up with a few, topics that we can look at today. And number one, I said about the common tag that respect your elders. To me, it's outdated. And respect is earned. You do not just respect people by virtue of their age. Yeah, you can be older than me, but I have nothing to give you that you will look at and say you respect me. So respect should be earned regardless of someone's age. So we one thing that we should also understand as a people or as a community, when you force children or young people to respect bad behavior, or just respect people by virtue of their age, you may be forcing these children into accepting bad norms of bad behavior in the society, because they will also grow up thinking they can get away with a lot of mistakes just because the people behind them or who follow them should automatically respect that kind of behavior. So we should measure, as people in authority or people or parents, we should measure what to teach our children in terms of respect. And then also we should look at like I had said earlier, you do not just respect people because they are older than you. This respect should be earned. Like, for example, you have a very promiscuous aunt. This aunt cannot keep one man. They keep jumping from one man to the other, one man to the other. You have nothing to learn from them in terms of morality. But then again, the society expects you to treat this woman with respect. You can just respect them because they have not told you any, or they have not attacked you. But I do not think that anyone should compel you to respect this person by virtue that they are older than you. If we go back to the total definition of what respect is you're admiring qualities in someone, you're admiring achievements in someone. What are these qualities? Would you just respect your auntie in terms of, you know, how to run a relationship when you've watched them jump from corner to corner to corner with different kind of men? So this, to me, that is not respect. You might change people, but you might change spouses, or, you know, but you understand the kind of setting I'm talking about, you know. And then also don't just teach your kids to respect their elders, teach them to respect people who deserve it. I don't know if someone is getting my point. Don't just teach your children to respect people. Teach them to respect people who deserve respect. If you cannot treat yourself respectfully, there is no way I am going to teach my children to respect you. If you cannot conduct yourself in a manner that deserves an adult, I am not going to respect you. For instance, the other day, I had an altercation with some of my my relatives. These people, they have questionable behavior, yeah. In terms of morality, their morals are questionable. But then again, they put me in a situation where I thought they did not deserve my respect. So I went down and thought, and I was like, do these people really deserve to be respected? Do they really deserve to be called, you know, aunties or something? I was like, no, bro, no. Yeah. So if you conduct yourself in a manner that does not deserve a young person's respect, when this child or this young person retaliates to your bad behavior, don't say that these children are disrespectful. Your actions should not precede you. Yeah. You should come before your actions. So as adults, let's also be very mindful of how we act, so that, because there are people who are watching, who are behind us, there are people who are watching. So if you handle yourself in a manner that is disrespectful, do not expect anyone to respect you. Respect, like I said, is earned, and it does not come with age. Yeah. And then thirdly, when you force kids, or when you force young children to just respect people by virtue of their age, we've seen family settings where a father is very abusive, maybe a mother is very abusive, or you find that this elderly person, by elderly I don't mean really old, but someone who is older than you, their behavior is not really good. Yeah, it's not, let me just say, it's nothing you can emulate in terms of their behavior. But then again, here you are, you're compelling or you're forcing your children to just respect these people or to emulate these people, when there's nothing good to take home. I mean, there's nothing good to write home about these people. So when you force your children to respect people who have bad behavior, you're teaching your children to adapt to bad behavior. And this is why our society is decaying every day, because children grow in settings where they have been forced to accept bad behavior in adults in the name of respect. But then when they grow up, they can never change that. You know, like when you can never change someone when they're already old. Yeah, character is something that you mold when someone is young. But when a kid has grown up seeing their father, you know, beating kids for nothing, beating their mother for nothing, these kids grow up in a center of violence, and they will grow up believing that beating your wife is okay. That is disrespectful. Why don't you engage dialogue? Why don't you teach your children to engage in forms of dialogue? in terms of when you have a dispute. Why would you watch your children being beaten, or let your children watch maybe perhaps their father beating their mother, and then again you call that they should not do anything, because when they do anything, that is being disrespectful. So as a community, we should see and look at what to teach our children in terms of respect. It's the only way we are going to clean our society. And then also, age. Sorry. Age does not define respect. Like some people say, respect comes with age. In its generality, or it's in general state, we can agree, we can say yeah. But when you're old, but then you do not conduct yourself in a manner that deserves that kind of respect, then do not force people's children around to respect you. Like growing up back in the up country in the village, I used to have some uncles who would go out. That time we were about 7 or so years old. So these uncles of mine would go out in the course of the day, do all manner of things. Then they would come back home, like that time we would have maybe perhaps visiting our grandmother or something. Then they would come home around past midnight or something. And it's in the village, we don't have lights. Then they would wake us up with beatings, because they want us to serve them food. So you're supposed to go to the firewood, light firewood, then warm food for these people. But then if you do not do it swiftly or promptly, these people would beat you. How do you expect a child to grow into such an environment? You are raising a child who would accept violence. Even them, when they grow up, they will think that they can go away and come back and demand for food without asking for that food respectfully. As women, we should not raise our kids in that sense, because I used to watch my grandmother just watch that, and she would not do anything. So we are not supposed to raise our children in such kind of environments. Let people take care of their responsibilities. If you go out, even as a married couple, perhaps, if your spouse goes out, I know it would automatically look like my responsibility as a woman to prepare food for my husband. But how I give you that food will depend on how you treat me. If you come and be like, "Hi darling, how did you sleep? Sorry I'm late. Is there anything for me to eat? Baby boy," I will jump out of that bed and I'll fix you food. But you go out, come home drunk, then you want to breathe war on me, then you expect me to give you food. Boo, no, I don't get to do that. So this is the kind of society we are trying to fix. Our society, just because people are in an upper space of power than us, they do not deserve to treat us disrespectfully just because they are older than us. So these are the kind of things we should look at, and these are the kind of things we need to teach our children, that you cannot accept bad behavior from an adult just because they are older than you. And then also like I said, you don't just respect people because they're older than you. You respect them because they earn it. Like for instance, there are those aunties and uncles you would see, they would come, they would treat you nicely, they would prepare things for you, they would give you advice, they would talk to you nicely. Even when you go wrong, they will not just be in a hurry to batter you, and those are people you respect. But you don't, these people, the other group, they don't even give you an opportunity to engage in dialogue. All they want is they are always violent, always ready to beat you. Those kind of adults do not respect you, and I stop you today. Do not respect those forms of adults. Yeah. And then also, as parents, I know I'm not a parent, but I think I'll be a parent one of these fine days. As parents, do not just teach people to respect people because they are older than them. Teach these people to respect people who deserve to be respected, or they have qualities in them that they deserve to be respected. Number one, there are instances where you'd find a very young girl staying perhaps in a homestead. Then there is an uncle who touches this girl inappropriately. This girl is not supposed to say no to the advances of this uncle or this relative or this, elder in the community, because it will be perceived as being disrespectful. So we have very many young girls who've gone through domestic violence, who've gone through defilement, who've been raped, in the name of they cannot say anything, because when you talk back at an adult, you're being disrespectful. So when you teach your children to accept bad behavior in adults, you are teaching them to accept violence. You are teaching them to accept that rape is okay. You're teaching them that touching me inappropriately is okay. So as people who are older or as parents, let's teach children to respect people who deserve to be disrespected. And when you teach these things, you teach your children these things, they will be able to see what is right and what is wrong. Unfortunately, we are in a society where when a child points out a wrong in an adult, that is perceived as being disrespectful. Unfortunately, it is very sad. Yeah, like for example, a man touching a girl inappropriately, people will keep quiet. They will not say anything just because this guy is older than this kid. That is being disrespectful. And we have very many young kids who've stomached or who've gone silent with very many untold stories of how perhaps they were raped, how they were, defiled, because they cannot speak up, because the person who did that to them is older, and the society assumes that this person deserves to be respected by these young people. So these are the things we need to look at as adults. And when you allow your children to just respect people because they are old, in a certain way you are allowing these children to just accept bad behavior, and these people, you don't expect these children to act any different when they grow up. When they grow up, they will act the same way. They will treat other people badly. Always tell kids that your uncle did wrong and that is not how you're supposed to behave. This is how you're supposed to behave. And even that will teach adults now to know how to conduct themselves before adults, because these adults have also grown up following bad behavior from their older people. Then they want to transition this bad behavior to these young people in the name of respect. I refuse. So as we proceed, guys, I don't know what you people think. You can write your comments below, but that is just my opinion, and I think it's right. Also, just because you've lived longer than me doesn't mean that I should automatically respect you. Like I said again, respect is earned. Respect does not come with age. If you do not act in a manner that deserves to be in a way that you deserve to earn my respect, bro, you don't deserve my respect. You can only be respected because you're acting respectfully. And then we should also know that sometimes forcing children to respect bad behavior, and by bad behavior I mean respecting adults who portray or construe bad behavior out there, it may backfire on you, yeah, because these kids can one day be defiant. They can decide not to follow what you're saying. And also, when you tell these kids to respect these people who act in a way that is not appropriate, these kids will automatically, pick those bad behaviors in those adults. And then one thing you should also know, if you look at how the West, handle the relationship between adults and children, it is a relationship of, dialogue. Kids can tell adults anything. And by anything, I mean, like they can say no when it means no. But in our community or in our society, a kid cannot say no to an adult. And that's why, like I had mentioned earlier, we've had cases of children being defiled. raped, and all those manner of things, yeah, just because you cannot speak up. So teach your children to always speak up, instead of just keeping quiet to bad behavior because someone is an adult. And then also so to how do we get over this kind of, how do we get over this whereby children cannot disrespect adults, yeah, or where adults take advantage of young people because they are older? Parents should start by teaching their children to say no to bad behavior. If you spot a bad behavior in an adult, do not follow that kind of behavior. And parents should also teach their children that adults make mistakes. This idea of just staying and saying that adults don't make mistakes, or when an adult says something bad or does something bad, people do not address it because children will think that children will grow up believing that it's okay for adults to just act inappropriately. You understand? So let's always teach children what is right from wrong, and I think we will be a good society. And then the bottom line is parents should also learn to listen to their children. We come from African communities where a child is always wrong, an adult is always right. When a child tries to say something, you'd find that adults will be storming over this child. They will not even allow this child to say anything because you're a child. But then again, this has gotten very many kids to suffer a lot because just their voices have not been heard. So the bottom line is parents should always, or people in upper positions or who are a bit older, should allow the young people to always have an expression. Let kids express themselves, and this is a way of building a stronger generation, not just weaklings who sit there and listen and be dictated to on what they ought to do. Times have really changed. This is not 1980, yeah. So finally, I would just say that as you raise your child, teach your child to be respectful, but then again, tell this child that respect is earned, and respect does not just come with age. Thank you so much, guys. I know I've touched some people wrongly or badly with this conversation, but then again, bro, this is 2023. These are conversations we need to discuss. These are things we need to talk about. Yeah. Thank you so much for subscribing, and have a beautiful weekend.